We all think we know what it means to win. Victory is often portrayed as the grand prize, trophies, recognition, and the applause of others. But what if winning wasn't what we thought it was? What if true victory was something entirely different? This is the story of Lucas, a man who spent his life chasing the wrong kind of win. Until one moment changed everything, and he realized that the way he looked at winning had been all wrong. Lucas had always been a competitor. From a young age, he was driven by the idea of being the best, whether it was in sports, work, or life in general. Every game was a battle. Every task was a race. To Lucas, winning wasn't just important, it was everything. It meant success, respect, and pride. By the time Lucas was in his 30s, he had climbed the corporate ladder and was living the life many would envy. A high-paying job, a luxury apartment, and an impressive social circle. But no matter how much he had, it never felt like enough. He was constantly looking ahead, always wondering, what's next? One day, Lucas entered a high-stakes competition, an exclusive business contest with a hefty cash prize. He was confident. After all, he had always won. But this time, things didn't go as planned. He lost. The defeat hit harder than any loss he'd experienced before. For the first time, Lucas questioned everything. The victory he had always worked toward felt hollow. Why had winning never satisfied him? After the contest, Lucas went to a quiet cafe, hopping to clear his mind. There, an elderly woman sat at the table next to him, sketching something in her notebook. Her presence was calming, and despite the noise around them, Lucas found himself drawn to her peaceful energy. "Are you okay?" the woman asked softly, noticing his frustration. Lucas, surprised by her perceptiveness, sighed. "I lost a big competition today. It feels like I've failed." The woman smiled gently. "Ah, winning. What does it mean to you?" Lucas paused. He had never really thought about it. Winning means achieving success, being the best. The woman nodded slowly, as if she had heard this many times before. But what if winning isn't about being the best? What if it's about something else? The woman leaned forward, her eyes kind but knowing. "When I was younger, I spent my life chasing trophies, awards, and recognition. But as the years went by, I realized something. The greatest wins in life aren't always visible. You can win in ways that don't make the headlines, but those wins are the ones that last." Lucas was intrigued. "What do you mean by that?" The woman smiled, her voice full of quiet wisdom. "Winning is not about being ahead of others. It's about growth, learning, and making peace with your own journey. You see, the real victory is becoming the person you were always meant to be, not the person others expect you to be." Over the next few weeks, Lucas couldn't shake the woman's words. He started to reflect on his life and the way he had always defined success. He began to see how his obsession with winning had driven him to constantly compare himself to others. It had pushed him to neglect the things that truly mattered, his relationships, his happiness, and his own sense of fulfillment. Lucas started to make changes. He stopped measuring his worth by external accomplishments. Instead, he began to focus on internal growth. He spent more time with loved ones. He learned new skills, not to gain recognition, but for the joy of learning itself. And most importantly, he learned to appreciate the small victories, the moments when he helped others, the times when he pushed through self-doubt, and the personal growth that came from failures. One day, Lucas entered another competition, this time with a different mindset. He wasn't there to prove he was the best. He was there to enjoy the process and challenge himself. And while he didn't win the prize, something extraordinary happened. He felt fulfilled. For the first time, he realized that winning wasn't about being the first across the finish line, but about being the best version of himself in the process. As Lucas continued to shift his mindset, he noticed a change in the people around him. His colleagues and friends began to appreciate his presence more. They no longer saw him as someone consumed with competition. They saw him as someone who genuinely cared, someone who had learned the value of kindness, patience, and self-reflection. Lucas was no longer the person driven by the need to win at all costs. He had discovered that true victory was about personal growth, connection, and finding joy in the journey. The recognition he once craved was no longer as important. He had found something much deeper. So, what does winning mean to you? Is it about being the best in the eyes of others, or is it about becoming the best version of yourself? Winning is not about comparisons or trophies. It's about growth, learning, and embracing the process. Every small step you take, every challenge you overcome, is a victory in itself. The next time you face a challenge, remember this. Winning isn't about being ahead of the game. It's about playing your own game at your own pace and finding satisfaction in the person you become along the way.